Currently, I have 3 in my office that need to be replaced.
Okay.
They're like $1,300 each. But talking to the companies that I've been in contact with, they hear how old our machines are, and they say they're going to definitely be going down in the near future.
Okay.
The year before, we replaced 4, so the trend is...
So just kind of on the cycle.
Yes.
And then just with the restoration of assistant coaches, that would be for all teams?
No,
that we
just
took-
the ones that we've lost over the last 7 or 8 years.
Right, so I'm saying, that, so we're putting back, so we'll be where we were before
Yes,
we, okay.
fully staffed for, I believe, 7 years.
Right, great, thank you.
No. The question for Mr. Stram. On the new plan for the multi-plan for restoration, these typically will go at the bid, am I correct? Correct. Okay. Yep. So basically, how does, maybe it's for Laura, how does the process of getting building aid work once you get the bid in? How does that process work? Do you receive the building aid this year or next year?
Sure. The process would be, first what happens is the plans are sent up to New York State to first get approval from the state to move forward. Once SED approves a project, then the bidding process would occur. The board would then have the dubious task of awarding that bid, and at that point then you would move forward with the actual process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for Mr. Vicino. There had been some discussion when we do this upgrade to Microsoft Office 365, will the staff be able to, and this is my terminology, print directly to PDF files? So that when one of the things that's been happening is people have been foiling us and asking for things. We now have to print it and go and scan it. But if we do that, we'll save a step. Will that is that included in that software? Do you know?
Good question. I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, fine.
On that one.
Okay, and then a separate question, this is probably for Dr. Pecora, who's not here tonight. At one point, we were looking about purchasing Kindles. Are we still, or no, probably Kindles, because I don't think Nooks really exist.
There are lease agreements built into Mr. Vicino's budget, which would include the purchases of tablets, they're Kindles or not, they're very tablets. That wasn't made as clear tonight as it will be on other nights, but the lease agreement, which is how the refreshes occur,
Right.
and that will include additional tablets and things of that nature.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions for the board? Go ahead.
Dino, with the bring your own device, so it mentions about the authorization, I guess, what's the process? So I bring, here I am, I bring my device. What do you need to do to that? Or what needs to take place to be sure that these are all compatible, that these are all, I don't know what.
As we progress, it may not be just one device. It may be any kind of device. So we have to actually intercept the traffic from that device and scan it to make sure it's up to a certain type of code. For instance, it could have a virus on it.
Right.
All right. So that's what basically authentication does.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, at this time we will entertain questions from the community.
Just to add on to what Dr. James said, we'd like to give you like a 5-minute rule, like we said before. So, but then if you come back again, so it's not a hard 5 minutes, and we'd like to try to stay on the topic of the budget information, so no questions outside of the budget are going to be answered. Thanks.
This is for a pet food. I just saw it.
This is for Pat. First of all, I think it's awesome that you're reinstating the assistant coaches because that's something that the community has really wanted. Could you just talk about which ones you are? I know we cut a lot, but I'm not sure which ones you're talking about.
It's going to be all the assistant coaches that were cut 2 years ago.
Do you know in what areas those were?
I have them.
Okay.
There's 15 of them that were cut 2 years ago.
Are any of them for like cross country, lacrosse?
Yes.
A lot of, okay, because I know a lot of us are
there
cut
was
football.
3 or 4 cut 3 years prior to that.
Right.
In the middle school level, that I think we're carrying large numbers that I think we need to give support to these coaches. better.
Yeah, I just want to say to the board, I think that it's really, really important because a lot of the teams were really shrunk because just for safety reasons. So I think that's great. The other question I have is about uniforms. Is there any thought to, because as a member of a lot of these booster clubs, we have been raising a lot of money over the years, but like the cross country, that's really sad. the uniforms, and also the boys lacrosse. I know 1 year when there was a transition in the coaches. They didn't really put their budget in. So, and thank you for hiring Jimmy Montana. It's been great for the boys lacrosse. He's really been awesome. So.
That actually, I've had many discussions with Dr. James. That's part of my budget.
Great.
Is where we have our uniforms on a cycle, because I get the calls when we're on MSU varsity, why are our uniforms not as stellar as the other schools we're playing? So over the next couple of years, many of our uniforms are going to be replaced.
Okay.
I have them in age order, how many years ago did we buy the new ones, and then they'll trickle down, they'll become the beautiful JV uniforms.
Right. Yeah. It's sad.
When it's all said and done, they feel good about what
Well,
they wear.
but so the booster club's been buying a lot of this
Yes.
stuff, so it's nice if we could buy, spend money on other things that the boys need. So that's
Yes.
great. Okay.
So that's definitely in the budget.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It's rotational, much like we do with computers and musical equipment. We've now created rotational for the uniforms so that we don't get to a point where, frankly, we had some teams where they were.
We had to buy shorts to wear under the shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. And also the technology is amazing here. Thank you for that.
If I could, Mr. Friel, I do happen to have your listing. If you'd like, I can tell the public what they are, because he's so thorough. Varsity football, boys soccer, girls lacrosse, boys basketball, field hockey, baseball, softball, wrestling, gymnastics, middle school football, track co-ed, and gymnastics. And in addition, varsity cross-country co-ed, varsity winter track co-ed, spring track co-ed, and varsity cheerleading.
I actually just had something to add on to what Dr. James said about the budget being finalized on Monday. There was an email blast that went out from PTA Council from New York State PTA, just asking everybody to go online, follow the link, and just contact your representatives. Just read the information. It would be really great if everybody could do that. Thank you.
A little bit smaller. Hi. I just have a question. At the last budget meeting 2 weeks ago, it was said that at this meeting, at least this is what I thought I heard, costs related to implementing Common Core, I thought was going to be presented or discussed. Did I mishear?
I'm not sure if that's what we said, but if we did, I apologize. We will present that at the next meeting.
Okay.
The enrichment program and some of the conditions around the enrichment program, as well as the Common Core, we had 2 sick administrators who just
Okay.
couldn't be here tonight.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you.
Sure.
My apologies.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Art Riley, I'm a resident. Mr. Schramm, in his presentation concerning the roof on the Marion Call Farm, referred to it as a temporary roof. When the last board meeting, I was told it is a permanent roof. Is it permanent or is it temporary?
It's a covering over the existing roof that's basically a stopgap, and it's going to last for many, many years, but I would hesitate to call it a permanent roof. It's a commercial roofing material membrane that's been...
Well, according to the manufacturer's specs, that has a 180-day life expectancy.
That's not correct. It's an EPDM. It probably has, when that's properly installed on a building, it probably comes with a 20 to 25-year warranty.
And some of the maintenance that'll be required on it had to do with the furring strips that
That's all
hold
it
that
is.
in place.
It's the fastening to, it's the fastening
Well, hold
of
it
the
down.
system
In
down.
addition, it's glued also, isn't it?
No, it's flat.
Just like
That's
that.
fine.
Second question, if I may. Thank you. I'm not sure that this is part of the budget vote, but Mr. Wench had announced at the Board of Ed meeting that he was not going to seek re-election. I know there's another seat that's going to expire. Is that person going to run?
I think that's something that's a prerogative of that individual.
It's really not part of the budget anyway.
Well, it is, because it's part of the budget vote. When you go to vote for the budget, you vote for the...
This is, okay.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else from the audience?
I have a question regarding cloud printing. If you can possibly explain what that is, and does that have any relation to In Bloom? In Bloom?
It has nothing to do with In Bloom
Nothing to do
whatsoever.
with that.
In essence, they send it print to a file, if you will, in a cloud, which is really a cloud server. Then they can go to a printer that's one of the designated printers, enter a code, and it will come out.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with
Nothing.
the purchasing equipment to move on?
Nothing to do with In Bloom at all.
Okay.
Those of us who were older thought it was, the jet plane that goes and prints the, police shop at.
Thank you.
Everything's in the cloud.
Hi folks, thank you very much for the presentation. One question, you compare budget to budget with increases and decreases in percentages. On this sheet you have actuals and you have proposed expenditure for the current year. Why can't that be included on the details in here? So when we're comparing what you're asking for, we're not comparing it to last year's budget, we're comparing it to what you actually spent or projected to spend for last year, and what you actually did spend for the year before. You're giving it to us here, but you're not giving it to us here. So that's something I think was brought up last year to give us more actual information and not just budget to budget.
Okay, thank you. We actually thought by giving it to you on that one document we handed out that that's what was being required.
Well, now you have to go back and forth and compare.
We'll consider it, absolutely. Thank you.
Two questions after here. Are we educating less kids or more kids next year? What's our projected? Less students we're going to have or more students?
Less students.
150 less?
Well, I don't have the exact
So
number.
we're going to keep the same staff for less students, correct? That's what we're projecting?
Depending on the school, sure.
Okay. So we're doing 150 less kids with the same staff?
Approximately.
Approximately. And one other question, Mr. Tramp. On these buildings that we lease, who pays for the roof? The leasee, or we, as the taxpayers, do we pay for Smith Lane's roof? Or the guy that's leasing the building from us, is he paying for the roof? Does it come out of our tax dollars?
We provide maintenance services to all of the rental buildings.
So do we make money, or we break even after we buy a roof?
I don't have that information.
That's what I'm saying. Does it cost the taxpayer money to do Smith Lane's roof?
If I could.
I'm sorry.
It's part of the energy performance contract, so it flows through the energy performance contract. There certainly is state building aid associated with that, and then those costs, if you will, are passed along to the leasee.
Right, exactly. That's
the
what I mean.
maintenance of the facility. Not that we directly say, okay, we fix the roof and
It costs you $1 million,
but
correct.
it's built into their lease agreement, ongoing maintenance.
Okay.
That is our responsibility. Regarding the number of staff, remember at the last meeting we talked about the implementation of the Common Core, the changes in standards, the implementation of those standards, the testing, and so on and so forth. So some of that staffing that you see is associated with supporting those types of changes. We will be talking about that at the next meeting.
All right, but I've been coming for like 2 or 3 years now, and every year we're doing 100 less students, and for the last 3 years, you've raised our taxes $250 per person. So we did 300 less students so far, and we spent, it cost us $750 more money.
Well, you certainly one way to look at it, but as you know...
I'm looking basic,
But it's not to do with the number of staff, it has to do with the costs associated. For instance, this year was a $4 million increase in the TRS system.
Right.
So that's...
But we saved money on the pension fund this year because the market did well, so less contributions there, correct?
No, less of an increase.
Less of an increase, correct.
It's
Right, so less contributions from the taxpayers.
No.
Yes.
It is less of a contribution,
Yes,
which
it
is
is.
why we come in under the cap.
Right, exactly.
Sure, we come in under the cap and half for 3
Right, taxpayers paying less money to make up the to 100%. Whatever the number may be,
Okay.
the taxpayer is making less money into it. Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Would be good, right? All right, just following up on what Mr. Marchese said. If we're got 150 less students this year, typically in the previous year's presentations, you have broken out the cost per student. So do we have the cost per student that we're projecting for next year?
Well, and as you, I'm sure recall, there have been times when we use cost per student that we get from the state, which is dated material, and rather than put up dated material, we will wait and see when we get material that is more accurate. I know your formula is usually just take the total budget and divide it by the number of kids. So that's not what we've done this year. I'm not sure if we'll put it up before the budget process is over. I know it's something that is being looked at.
So it's not the number of kids divided, the budget divided by the number of kids?
No.
Okay. Just looking at the energy efficiency contract numbers, there was like a $600,000 difference between what we were going to pay compared to the cost savings on the energy.
Okay.
And my question is, why is it a $600,000 difference?
Well, I'll give you a short answer, and then if Mrs. Newman wants to build on it, part and parcel, there's the savings that covers the energy performance payment, and then there is the increase in state aid, state building aid associated with that. If you may recall, that is how we projected we would pay for the project in savings and state aid. Mrs. Newman, did I get that right?
You've got that 100% correct.
So it's a negative $600,000. It's $600,000 cheaper, because the way I'm looking at the math here, it's costing us $600,000 more than we're receiving in savings. Am I incorrect?
No, there is a savings that helps pay for the project, and then there is additional state aid, building aid, specific to the project, which helps pay for the project. So those two numbers combined, you don't have the number, we did put up the number for the building aid again this week, it was out last week, it'll be up again next week. Those two numbers combined pay for the project.
Right, so I think you said EPC payments is payments to, that's a spending of $1.4 million, and the net savings was $800,000 on fuel and oil. So that's a $600,000 difference. So we're not saving enough to cover the payments?
No, the payments are covered by savings and state aid. So we are getting
$1.4 million.
Correct. Okay. We're not getting 1.4 million. We're saving 800,000.
Okay.
And then we are getting additional state aid to cover that 600,000 or so.
Okay. So at the end of the day, fully funded. We're going to get 1.4 million. Okay.
No.
Great.
No, 600. We're going to get 600,000
in total between savings plus the 600.
Yeah, correct.
One of the questions I asked about the maintenance contract for several meetings was, do we have to pay a maintenance contract on the energy efficiency project to Johnson Controls? And is that incorporated in the budget?
No, we do not. There's not a maintenance agreement with Johnson Controls. Once the project is over.
Once it's over, then we're going to have to sign a maintenance agreement?
No, once the project is over,
It's over, it's over. Okay, great. One of the things we discussed last meeting was we were going back and forth on budget surplus, and I guess I was calling it budget surplus, and I guess in an email with Mrs. Newman, she clarified some numbers, and I guess I was calling it something different. I guess the terminology we have to use is under expended budget surplus, which would be the amount of last year's budget that we under expended, which is the $10 million. So my question is, in the 2013-14 year, for this year, is there a projection on what the under expended budget surplus is going to be?
We'll be handling, as you might recall from the slide, the revenues and projected revenues and so on and so forth at the next meeting.
Oh, so it's going to be next meeting? Okay. I think that is it. Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience have a question? Thank you. Go ahead, Peter.
Procedurally, we forgot to exit public session after we came out of exec, so can I get a motion to adjourn the regular meeting? I'll make a motion, seconded by Mrs. Masiello. All in favor? Passed unanimously. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.